In the last two episodes, we learned about Vue routing and Vue components. So in this episode, we are going to take all that knowledge that we gathered through those two videos, and we're going to create our application to behave like this. So current state of our application is just this. So we have routing set up, and we can go to hello world component and about us component or page, whatever you want to call it. But what we want to get is this. So we want to get list of our movies, and when we click on a movie, we go to this URL right here, and when we click back, we get back to the movie list. So this is what we are going to do today. Okay, so first of all, let's just do a bit of a cleanup. So I'm just going to go to my index.html, and I'm going to remove these two v links right here because we don't need them. And then I'm going to go down here and remove this hello template, and then I'm going to remove this about us template because we don't need any of those. Okay, save this. If we go to our application right now, we should get just this. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to first set up our movie list component. So to do that, I'm going to go to the end of this file, and I'm going to create a new template, and I'm going to give it ID of movie list template, just to be explicit. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to get all the code right here. So from these filters to this movie list and so on, we're just going to take all that code, cut it out, and just put it in this template. Okay, save this. And what we are left in our application, so in our app container, we are left with this single movie part of our application that we used to have, but we are going to take that part right now and put it in a separate template. So down here, and we're going to give it ID of single movie template. Okay, and just paste that in. Okay, save this. Let's see what our application says right now. So we should get nothing because we're currently on this about us URL. So if we go back, we are on hello and so on. I will just delete this. We should get nothing because we didn't set up our root route. So what is going to happen when someone gets to this URL? So our root URL, and I'm going to show you how to set up that right now. So if we go to our app.js file right now, I'm just going to delete this var about us and this var of hello because we don't need them. And then I'm just going to comment out our whole application because we are just going to do it a little bit differently, but we are going to copy things from this application. So first of all, we have to set up our new component, and that new component is of course called movie list template. So I'm just going to go down here under this var app view extend, just put this a little bit higher, and then I'm going to create a new variable called just movie list. Okay, equals to view extend, just like we did in the last episode. And then we are open up these, And then we of course have to give it a template, just like we did in the previous episode. So the template for this one is going to be template, and it's going to be movie list template. Okay, we do comma right here, and then we have to set up our data. So as I said before, when you set up data in a component, you do it a little bit differently than you would do in your main Vue instance. So we are going to do data function. Okay, and then we return our data. Okay, and I'm just going to copy the data from right here. Okay, paste that in, and then we have to set up our ready function, and our ready function is going to be the same as it was in this movie instance. So when this component triggers, and we are going to set up this component to trigger on our root route, so whenever someone comes to our site, this component is going to be triggered. So we are just going to copy this out and set our ready method, our ready function to be method of get movies, and then we set up our methods like we would do in movie, in actually Vue main instance. So we just do method, open up this, and then we can just copy the method, a method of get movies. Okay, I'm just going to copy this and paste it right here. Okay, so we have a method of get movies, and I don't think we need anything else right here. So the only thing that is left to do right now is some way for us to tell Vue.js when someone hits our root route to display this component, and the component will do the rest. So we are just going to go to the mapper, so to root map. We're going to remove this about us component, and we are going to rename this component to be just slash. So this is going to be our root component, and the component that is going to be called once someone comes to our root of our site is of course going to be movie list that we defined right here. So we just do movie list. Okay, save this, and if we go right here, refresh the page, this works now. So the filters work. Filters by genre should also work, of course. And if we do all, we get all the movies. Okay, so we set up our first component, so our list component. Now we are going to set up our single movie list component, so that when someone clicks on this link, it will trigger out that component and display it on our page. So now we are just going to go to our app.js again, and we are going to set up our single movie component. So to do that, we do pretty much the same thing as we did with the movie list. So we just do our single movie equals view.extend dot not dash. Okay, open this up. Of course we have to call out our template, and our template is called single movie template. Okay, then we call out our data, and since we are getting just a movie for this component, we are just going to call our data movie. So return movie. Okay. Then we just do our ready function. Actually, let's just first do the methods. So we have to create a method for our ready function. So the method is going to be methods and is going to be get the movie. So I think we already have get the movie function right here. So I'm just going to copy it out and paste it in our methods. And for now, we are just going to leave it as it is, and then we're going to fix it later. So I'm just going to go and do ready function, and then we are going to just say this get the movie, and that should be it. Of course, comma is missing right here. Okay, so now we have this second component. I'm going to save it. And now what we want to do is we want to go to this index.html file and we have to set up some way that when someone clicks on this link that we get a call for this component. So we want to call this component somehow. So to do that, we are going to use vlink again, and we are going to use something called named routes. When we first created our application, we did this for showing our movie. So we did v on click and then called the method called get movie, and that was the way we displayed our movies. So we are going to do a similar thing right here, but with routes. So instead of v on click, we are going to do vlink. So vlink equals, and then we are going to set up our name route right here. So we're just going to do name, and then the name of our route is going to be movie. We are going to define it in our route map, but first of all we are going to do just this link right here. So we are going to call it movie. Okay, and then we have to pass it some parameters. So we have to have a way for Vue.js to know which movie we want to look at. And the best way to do that is, of course, using the node ID that we showed many times before. So every movie has a node ID. So we are just going to do params, and then we're going to pass it a node ID. So I'm going to call this data movie ID movie dot nid 0 and the value, and that should be it. So we are calling the node ID of our movie to be our movie ID parameter, so that we can pass that to Vue.js, and then Vue.js will know which movie to show us based upon this node ID. Save this. Of course, this we will get nothing by doing this because we don't have our route set up just yet. So if we go to console, you will see there is no route named movie, but we're going to fix that in a bit. So we now go to our app.js file, and in our router.map we just do this and we create another route, and this route is going to be movie slash and then movie ID. So this is the value we are passing it, so this movie ID. So if the node ID of the movie is 3, then our URL will be movie 3 or 2 or whatever the node ID is. So to tell Vue.js that, we just do this and write movie ID. Okay, then we just open up curly braces and set the name of for our route. So this is a named route and we have to set it a name, and I'm just going to say name movie. That's it. And component that we are so when someone clicks on that link, we have to call a component, and component is of course going to be this single movie component that we just created. So we just do component single movie. Okay, save this. If we go to our page right now, we should get our list, but this still shouldn't work. So if I click on this, we just get this back button right here, and we get Vue on click, get movies, expects a function value, and so on. So this doesn't work. This doesn't work. Well, first of all, let's just go to our index.html file and remove this back button because we don't need it anymore. So I'm just going to remove this. But as you did see, if I go right here, refresh this page and click on a movie, we get the URL of movie/4. But why isn't anything showing up? It's not showing up because if we go to our app.js and if we go to this single movie component, we can see that it's calling. So when we click on it, it's calling that component, and that component is automatically calling this ready function, and this ready function is calling get the movie. And of course, in one of the previous videos we explained what this does. So this connects to our API and gets the movie we clicked on. So for example, if I go to movies API.dev movies, and let's say we clicked on the movie with the ID of 1, we would just get that response. We would just get to the response for that movie. So as you can see right here, so we get the movie of ID 1, which is Inception, and so on. So we get just the data for that movie, and that's it. Okay, so what's wrong here? The wrong thing is we are accessing this API URL, and we need a way to tell it to go to this address. So movies/1. Okay, so we used to do that by using Vue on click, and then we would send node ID, and then we would call this function. But since we don't do it that way anymore, we will remove this movie ID, and we will take the parameter that we defined right here. So in our movie list component, so we defined named route called movies, and the parameter would be this movie ID right here. And how do we call it in our function? Well, we would call it by doing this. So we don't need to pass a parameter directly to the function, but we would just call it like this. So we do this dot route dot params, and then we do movie ID. So this is actually just going to be, in our case, some number. So this will probably be 1, 2, or so on. Of course, API URL is this thing right here. So we are just telling it call that link, add the slash to it, and then just add the number that we clicked on. And that's it. I think when we save this, this should work. So as you can see, I refresh this page with movie/4, and we get Star Wars The Force Awakens. If we go back, we get to our list, we can refresh it, We can click on any of the movies and we instantaneously go to that movie. And the back button works in our browser. Also, you can send this link to a friend, and so if I open up this here and just paste it in, we would automatically get to the page of that movie. So that's what the routing is for. Okay, so this is it for this episode. I hope it wasn't too hard. I hope I explained everything. I just wanted to make sure you understood every little step that we did right here. And I hope you can use this on some of your projects. As you can see, Vue.js is pretty cool. Okay guys, so this is it for this video. Please like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you like the content I put out. You can follow me on Facebook or on Twitter. Of course, everything we did here will be available for you on GitHub. Link will be in the description below. And that's it for this video. I will see you in the next episode.